Hello my dear friends. If you ever have a holiday in Catalonia, be sure to visit the sacred mountain of Montserrat. I want to tell you today about my trip to Mount Montserrat. This mountain is located in Spain, and girls are named after this mountain in Spain. The biggest example is the well-known opera diva Montserrat. Let me start my story. Montserrat Monastery has been present on Montserrat Mountain in some form or other since the 9th century. I will give you a detailed insight into both the history of Montserrat Monastery and the daily lives of the monks who live there. It is not known exactly when monks first came to Montserrat and began to build a monastery. However, it is believed that in the 9th century 4 of the chapels were built on Montserrat mountain. In 1025, the abbot of Ripoli and bishop of Wick, Oliba, officially founded the monastery of Montserrat. During the 12th and 13th centuries, a Romanesque church was built in Montserrat containing a carving of the image of the Mother of God. Over this period, pilgrims began to come to Montserrat. Throughout the following centuries, Montserrat's importance grew. In 1223, there is the first account of a boys' choir at Montserrat. In 1409, the monastery became an independent abbey, and in 1490, Montserrat's printing press was installed. In 1493, the monastery's word was spread even further when one of the hermits from Montserrat, Bernard Boyle, went on a voyage to America with Christopher Columbus. One of the islands in the Antilles was named after Montserrat, and this began the spread of the worship of the Mother of God of Montserrat in the Americas. In the 19th century, Montserrat hit some troubling times. During the reign of Napoleon, the monastery was destroyed in the time period from 1811 to 1812. In 1835, the Land Acts meant that monastery lost all of its property and all but one monk left the monastery. However, in 1844, the monks returned to Montserrat, and in 1858, the reconstruction of Montserrat began. Again, in the 20th century, the monks experienced turbulent times during the Spanish Civil War. During this period, the monks were forced to leave the monastery. Over the period of the war, 23 monks were killed. Fortunately, the autonomous government of Catalonia managed to save Montserrat and free it from looting and destruction. After the war, the monks returned and continued with the reconstruction of the monastery. In 1947, there was the celebration of the enthronement of the image of the Mother of God. Since this time, the monastery has gone from strength to strength. The new museum has been added. In 1982, Pope John Paul II visited Montserrat. The basilica has been restored and the entire complex has been built to cater for the immense number of pilgrims who come to Montserrat each year. Whether you are religious or not, Visiting the Black Madonna and Montserrat is a spiritual and worthwhile experience. You will join in line with a group of people, many of whom have come as pilgrims to the statue. The atmosphere is electric. Chances are you will have to wait to see the Madonna. However, all of this can serve to enhance your visit, make the most of the opportunity to take in your surroundings. The stairway leading to the statue, plus the room and altar in which the statue sits, are ornate, golden, and pay tribute to the wonder that is the Virgin herself. The Black Madonna is sometimes referred to by other names, including the Virgin of Montserrat and La Morinetta. The statue sits behind a sheet of glass. However, one of her hands that is holding a sphere is not behind the glass. It is tradition for you to kiss or touch the Virgin's hand whilst opening out your other hand to Jesus. This video will provide you with details of the history of statue of the Black Madonna, plus information on where it is, whether you have to pay to see it, the waiting times for seeing the Black Madonna, and accessibility to the statue. The Black Madonna was believed to have been carved in Jerusalem at the beginning of the religion. It is a wooden sculpture. It is one of the most famous Black Madonna statues in the world, and in 1844 Pope Leo XIII declared the Virgin of Montserrat the patroness of Catalonia. Black Madonnas can be found all over the world. If you are interested in the history of the concept of the Black Madonna and its various depictions, it is worth a visit to the Montserrat Museum, where there is a whole section dedicated to its art and history. As you enter the doorway to the basilica that will take you to the Black Madonna statue, you will pass the chapels that lead to the Virgin. The first chapel is in honor of Saint Peter. The second is in honor of Saint Ignatius of Loyola. The third is in honor of Saint Martin, and the fourth is in honor of Saint Joseph Calasantius. In 1944, it was decided that a new room known as the throne room would be built with a stairway leading to the statue. The work of sculptors, architects, artists, and jewelers was recruited, and the project was headed by the architect Francesco Folghera and the painter Joseph Obiols to build the room and altar in which the statue is placed. The new building work was scheduled to be completed on April 27, 1947, a day to be known as the installment. However, work finally finished in 1954. As you enter the room where the Virgin sits, it is worth noting the doors. They are made of repoussé silver and were created by Joseph Obiols, Raphael Solanic, and Manuel Capdevila. The Black Madonna herself sits on an incredibly ornate throne which is covered in Venetian mosaic. At either side of the Virgin you will spot 9 silver lamps. These represent the 8 dioceses of Catalonia and Montserrat. Above the Virgin's head there are angels that were created by the sculptor Martí Jurado. On leaving the altar of the Black Madonna, at the bottom of the stairs you will be given the opportunity to say a prayer in the chapel of the image of the Mother of God. This chapel was completed in 1885 under the direction of Francesco de Paolo del Villar y Lozano, who was helped by a young Antonio Gaudí. There are about 100 monks who are based at Montserrat Monastery. They follow the order of Saint Benedict and are linked to two other monasteries, El Miracle and Saint Michael of Croatia. Their life is devoted to prayer and work. The monks can be distinguished from other orders of monks by their philosophy that there is an importance to everything that every person is. They are keen to welcome people from all walks of life to the monastery. The monks listen to the voice of God through both the Holy Scriptures, development in the church, and what happens in the world on a larger scale. The monks are involved in many areas of work. Some are involved in the organization internally of the monastery. Others are researchers or teachers in fields of academia including history, theology, Bible studies, liturgy and music. Other monks work in the shrine itself. They welcome religious groups to the monastery, make speeches and generally ensure the upkeep of the monastery. The monks live in a building that sits just to the left of the Montserrat Basilica. It can be accessed from the atrium of the Basilica, but it is not open to the public. To find out more about the details of the day-to-day lives of the monks at Montserrat and to see areas of the monastery that are not open to the public. The Basilica is the name for the church as Montserrat. For most people it is essential to a visit to Montserrat for three main reasons. Firstly, it is in itself a Gothic building of architectural significance. Secondly, it is the home of Montserrat masses and choral concerts. Thirdly, it houses what is arguably Montserrat's most important feature, the statue of the Black Madonna. The atrium of the Basilica is the open-roofed courtyard area that sits directly in front of the Basilica. 5 arches lead you to the main area. Look out for the iron sculpture of Saint Benedict by the sculptor Enric Monjo. It is situated at the entrance to the part of the monastery where the monks live, an area that you are not allowed to enter. The atrium itself is known as the atrium of Abbot Ageric. In 1952 to 1956 it was decorated by Joseph Obels and Father Bernard Martinez. Designs on the right-hand walls of the atrium depict the most important shrines and basilicas throughout Christianity. Designs on the left-hand walls offer a brief history of Montserrat. Take a look down and enjoy the marble black and white floor of the atrium. It takes inspiration from the floor of the Capitolium in the Rome that was designed by Michelangelo. The inscription at the center are Latin and refer to baptism. Montserrat Church is a Gothic structure that also uses Renaissance shapes and traditionally Catalan architecture. It was severely damaged during Napoleon's War. This meant that it had to be reconstructed at the end of the 19th century. The central nave of the church is 58 meters long and 15 meters wide. It is 23 meters to the top of the dome of the church. Around the edge of the church you will note lots of ornate hanging candles. These are representative of a Catalan style of jewelry making from after the Spanish Civil War. They have all been donated by Catalan towns and associations. Collectively, they are there to represent the constant presence of the people of Catalonia at the feet of Saint Mary of Montserrat. As you can see, there is a lot to see on the famous Montserrat mountain. In this monastery there is a wonderful choir of boys that I could not see, and I can't tell you about this choir, because when I was there all the boys were on vacation and I couldn't unfortunately listen to their unique voices. This is the end of my story about the famous mountain of Montserrat. When you are in Catalonia, be sure to visit the mountain of Montserrat, and I think you will not regret it. Max Fadeev was with you. See you soon.